Hello and welcome to Cinema Wellman. I'm your host, David, and today we're going to weigh in on a list. And if you're a regular here at Cinema Wellman, or if you've known me for even a minute, you know how much that I love a list. On July 27th, the New York Times released their list of the 100 best movies of the 21st century. And since people know I love a good list, especially when it comes to movie lists, both Larry and Lucas's father, Steve, made sure I had a copy. Larry sent his list electronically while Steve went old school and passed along the actual newspaper to me. Thank you to both of them. I really appreciate it. You should have seen the looks that I got at work while I was reading this newspaper. I actually think some of the younger people had never seen one before in person. I love lists. All kinds of lists, historical lists, musical lists, sports lists, and of course, movie lists. A historical list of Civil War battles, fascinating. Musical list of best-selling albums of all time, most excellent. Sports list of Major League Baseball's all-time RBI leaders, bring it on, and thank you, Hank Aaron. A movie list of the top 100 films of the 21st century, preposterous, ridiculous, a fool's errand, impossible to determine in any way, shape, or form, and I can't wait to dissect it. When I first read through the list, I immediately checked to see how many of the 100 I hadn't seen, and that number turned out to be 8. That number is now 0, which is why we're here today. I'm not going to go through all 100 movies. I wouldn't put you through that, although you certainly should seek out this list online to read about all 100 films and make your own list of what you'd like to see. The Times staff, I think, did a phenomenal job with their synopses. What I will be doing is briefly talking about the 5 movies on this list that I despised. Not bad. Out of 100. Along with 10 movies that I was very excited to see make the list. The Times also conducted a readers poll, so the last thing I'll do is compare the 28 movies the readers chose to the 28 movies the critics chose in a super judgy lightning round of sorts. Just like every Festivus, we will begin with the airing of grievances. Now, you've heard me say this a dozen times before, and I'll say it again. I don't know anything about movies other than I like to watch them, and I like what I like. I never claimed that the movies this cabal of critics came up with were wrong choices in any way. They have forgotten more about film than I have ever known. What I can address is the 5 movies on this list that I personally hated. Do they belong on this list? Sure, I guess. Why not? But the only list these movies make for me are my list of movies I despise. Here we go. The Times had it at number 44 on its list, and I hated everything about it. Quentin Tarantino's overblown Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What I hated the most about this, other than the fact that it slogs on for close to 3 hours, is that Tarantino includes factual people as characters, and then he changes history. I wish Sharon Tate wasn't savagely murdered in 1969, but she was. I have no interest in a fairy tale featuring this alternate happy ending for her. At number 31 on the Times list is a movie I dislike more and more each time I think about it. Martin Scorsese's Best Picture winning The Departed. Reason number 1, I think the original film on which this is based, Infernal Affairs, is much better. No surprise that I'd say that. Reason number 2, it angers me that Scorsese was given what I consider a oops Oscar for Best Director for The Departed when he had at least a dozen other films he could have been and should have been honored for. I hate those oops Oscars, Color of Money for Paul Newman, please. It's proof the Academy can't see genius when it's right in front of their eyes, and then when it's too late and panic sets in, movies like this earn Best Directing Oscars. And then reason number 3, the Boston accents. At least I think that's what was being attempted here. I have lived in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for over 37 years now, and people just don't sound like that around here. Is there a Boston accent? Absolutely. This just isn't it. Next, the Times had a film at number 20 that I hated all 180 minutes of. Yes, that's 3 hours. Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street. I hated every character in this movie, and that always translates to hate an entire movie in my experience. Even though he stars in all 3 of these hated films so far, I can assure you that I like Leonardo DiCaprio. I actually think he's a talented actor. Doesn't mean I have to like him in everything he's in. Next is the first film not starring Leo, but it is the second Quentin Tarantino film on the list, and that's Inglourious Bastards. The Times had it at number 14 on their list, which is close to the amount of days it took me to finally complete screening this film. The violence and the blood are extreme, even for Tarantino, and Brad Pitt's jaw in this film was so distracting. It deserves its own credit. I can't stand Tarantino, and I honestly don't think he's done anything worth watching in 30 years. One more film to gripe about before we get to the positives, and the Times had it at number 10. And that's David Fincher. I like David Fincher's films, but not this one. David Fincher's The Social Network. Simple reasons here. I hate Mark Zuckerberg. Jesse Eisenberg annoys the shit out of me. Aaron Sorkin's writing grates on me, and I've never had any use for Facebook. And I try to make light of it, but Facebook has negative triggers for me surrounding my divorce, so there was no way I was ever going to enjoy this movie. Now to the positives. Now, there are 3 films I wanted to mention that I was delighted to see on the list, but at the same time, there are movies that have garnered their share of attention and accolades. Number 12, The Zone of Interest, won a Best International Feature Film Oscar, and a film I've spoken about previously on the show, so worth a watch. At number 11, the Times had Mad Max Fury Road, a favorite of mine. Check out the Chrome edition if you could find it. And a film that took home 6 Oscars, deservedly. No surprises to find that on that list. Also no surprise at number 9 is the phenomenal Spirited Away. Miyazaki's masterpiece won a Best Animated Feature Oscar, and I've spoken about it here before as one of my favorites when it comes to animated films. All right, so I just want to mention that those 3, but these 10 films are all 10 films that I love, and they're being mentioned here because it was validating for me to see that I wasn't alone in my love for these movies. Many independent, many foreign, not a sequel, reboot, remake, or comic book movie in the lot. It warmed my heart to see these films included. Number 74, The Florida Project. Yes, Willem Dafoe is outstanding when he's playing disturbing, creepy, villainous characters, or creatures. But if that's all you think he can do, you need to see more of his movies. In this film, Dafoe plays the manager of a roadside motel near Disney World in a story about homelessness, poverty, and hope. The Florida Project is just another example of what an accomplished actor Willem Dafoe is. Number 72, Carol. If you've tuned in before, you know how much I love Cate Blanchett, and I think Carol is in her top 3 films, which is saying a lot. IMDb. An aspiring photographer develops an intimate relationship with an older woman in 1950s New York. Rooney Mara is superb as the photographer, and the on-screen chemistry between her and Blanchett crackles. I think this would be a great double feature with Portrait of a Lady on Fire, as both deal with women in love living during times when it was close to impossible for them to be in love and to be together. At number 70, Let the Right One In. Another example in the long list of foreign movies that's later ruined by American filmmakers. What's creepier than vampires? Kid vampires. What's creepier than kid vampires? Swedish kid vampires. Remade in 2010 as Let Me In. Save the effort and just watch this original Swedish film instead. Not the first time you've heard me say that, and it won't be the last. At number 58, Uncut Gems. Talk about feeling vindicated about a movie. I was delighted to see this Adam Sandler drama make the list. As you may know, I loathe Adam Sandler's comedy. I didn't like him on SNL, and I seem to like everyone on SNL, and I find his comedies to be annoying, sophomoric, and unfunny. And those idiotic voices in a lot of his movies make me want to murder innocent people. Not to mention he likes to work with a director that I also despise. That being said, I do enjoy when he tries to be serious like he does here in Uncut Gems and also in Spaceman, which was my Halloween costume this year at work. This made Cinema Wellman's top 10 gambling films, so we were very happy to see the Times staff honor it as well. Number 54, Pan's Labyrinth. We love you. We love you, Guillermo del Toro. one of our favorite directors, and he just bankrolled and opened a studio for stop motion filmmakers, which is tremendous. Stop motion is kind of like the anti-AI to me, which is why I love it so much. IMDb says in 1944 Spain, a girl is sent to live with her ruthless stepfather. Oh, he's brutal. During the night, she meets a fairy who takes her to an old faun. He tells her she's a princess, but must prove her royalty by surviving 3 gruesome tasks. Pan's Labyrinth is a dark fantasy filled with supernatural beings and one young heroic girl named Ophelia. This film also inspired one of Louise's best Halloween costumes on Bob's Burgers, which was Peter Pan's Labyrinth. So, had to mention that. Number 48, The Lives of Others. I got another prop because I have this on DVD as well. IMDb tells us in 1984, East Berlin, an agent of the secret police conducting surveillance on a writer and his lover finds himself increasingly absorbed by their lives. If you're not familiar with the Stasi, they were the East German secret police until 1990, and they were one of the world's most extensive surveillance and secret police organizations. And if the Stasi wanted you, the Stasi got you. This tense thriller explores what happens when the person spying becomes involved with the persons on whom they are spying. It's an amazing film that shows how terrifying it could be in East Germany if you weren't 100% in step with the government. The Lives of Others would be a great double feature with The Conversation. At number 47 on the Times list of the 100 best films of the 21st century. Oh, it's all happening. It's number 47. It's Almost Famous. IMDb says a high school boy in the early 1970s is given the chance to write a story for Rolling Stone magazine about an up-and-coming rock band as he joins them on tour. I was 38 years old when I saw Almost Famous for the first time, and I sincerely wanted to be 15-year-old William Miller in this movie. Since I was born in 1962, I'm about 5 years behind William in Almost Famous, so he's in high school while I'm in elementary school, but his music in this film is my music, which makes this even more personal and more special to me. Frances McDormand is William's mom, and she's brilliant as usual, as is the rest of the cast. Billy Crudup, Jason Lee, Patrick Fugit, Zooey Deschanel, Anna Paquin, Fairuza Balk, Kate Hudson wearing Robert Plant's hair throughout. Oh, and Philip Seymour Hoffman is the legendary music writer Lester Bangs. I want to watch this again just thinking about it. I'm going to bring this one upstairs. Number 43, Old Boy. I found out recently that Quinn was planning on watching this, and I immediately texted him and told him to go into this film totally blind. Do not watch a trailer. You don't need to read a thing about it online. What about the poster? Can I look at the poster? No, you've seen enough. This is an extremely brutal crime story with a twist that has to be one of the craziest I have ever seen in any film. This twist was like getting hit in the head with a 9-pound sledgehammer and then getting up only to be hit by a passing train. Number 26, Anatomy of a Fall. This is a film I spoke about during this year's Oscar episode, and whenever I think of this film, I always think of The Zone of Interest. One film is French, the other film is from the UK. Both won Oscars, and both star Sandra Hüller. And I happened to screen both of them on the very same day, and something that was not done on purpose. As I watched Anatomy of a Fall, I was thinking there was something familiar about this actress, but I couldn't place her. Sandra Hüller speaks German, French, and English fluently. So she spoke German in The Zone of Interest and then French in Anatomy of a Fall. And my mind was blown, and I became a Sandra Hüller fan. And then I found out that we share the same birthday, so even better. Last on our list of 10 films we were excited to see included on this list is number 8, Get Out. Horror as a genre is back in full swing again, and the success of Jordan Peele's genre-bending film is to thank for horror's return in some part. IMDb says a young African-American visits his white girlfriend's parents for the weekend, where his simmering uneasiness about their reception of him eventually reaches a boiling point. Peele won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, becoming the first African-American to do so, and he followed up Get Out with Us and Nope, and the critics fans didn't like them. I'm a fan of all of them. If you enjoy horror, see all of them. All of them are must-sees. And finally today, and for whatever, it made sense to me when I wrote it up on the chalkboard, we're going to match up the 28 films the readers chose with the 28 that the critics chose instead. So here's where the readers chose some sequels, remakes, etc. So you know where I'm going to side on those rulings. While the readers and the critics' differing choices don't exactly line up numerically, I'll compare them top to bottom here because, again, that made sense to me. And this will be a true lightning round with swift judgments based on my whimsy. So I'm going to go slow in the beginning just to here we go. So the readers' poll had at number 15. So the readers, none of these films made the Times list. So I'm going to tell you, okay, the readers had at number 15, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the Kings. So I'm going to compare that with what the critics had that the readers didn't have on their list, and that was at number 27, which was adaptation, and I'm choosing adaptation. All right, so here we go. Number 16, La La Land versus the critics. Number 33 is Separation, critics. Number 27, readers, Dune Part 2, critics. Number 35, A Prophet, readers. 34, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. 36, Serious Man. Going to go Spider-Verse. I like that movie a lot. Next, readers 43, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. 46, critics, Roma. Going to go with Roma. Number 50 for the readers, Pride and Prejudice. Number 48, The Lives of Others. Please. Number 52, Sinners. And number 51 for the critics, 12 Years a Slave, 12 Years a Slave. 59, readers, Django Unchained. Did not like that at all. 52, critics, The Favorite, The Favorite. 60, readers, Little Women. Going to go with Little Women. Over the critics, Borat, Cultural Learnings of America. I did like that, but Little Women I thought was better. Next, readers, Hereditary. Over Punch Drunk Love for the critics, 62 and 56. That one's close, going to go with Hereditary. Next, readers, Blade Runner 2049. Critics, Best in Show. Best in Show. 65, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Thank you, Wes Anderson. Going to go with that. Over 59, the critics had Tony Erdmann. 67, readers, The Handmaiden. 68, so this one really matches up. The Hurt Locker, going to go with The Hurt Locker. 77, readers, The Prestige. Love it. 69 for the critics, Under the Skin. Going to go with The Prestige. Mean Girls is 82 versus number 70, Let the Right One In. I already said how good that one was, so let's go with that. 83, Perfect Days for the readers. Carol, also spoke about that. That's going to win at 72. Barbie at 84 for the readers. Amour, 75 critics. Toss-up, going to go to Amour is so good. 86, Dune Part 1. 80, Voltaire, critics, Voltaire. 88, Top Gun Maverick, no thank you. 82, The Act of Killing, absolutely creepy and ugh. 89, Drive My Car versus 84, critics, Melancholia, just talked about that last episode. Next, 91, Knives Out. Readers, I like that over Anchorman. 85, even though Anchorman has a couple of fantastic scenes. 92 for the readers, The Incredibles. Over 88, The Gleaners and I. 93, Killers of the Flower Moon. We're going to go with number 90 for the critics, Francis Ha. 96, the readers had Howl's Moving Castle. Over Fish Tank, which I liked, but Howl's Moving Castle. 97, readers had The Lighthouse, which is very, very creepy. I loved Minority Report. The critics had that at 94. 98, readers, Holdovers. 96, Black Panther. The critics had that. Going to go with The Holdovers. 99, readers had Midsummer. And 97, Gravity. I liked Gravity, but Midsummer. And at 100, Avengers Endgame, I gave that the check mark over Grizzly Man. Yes, I did. Grizzly Man at number 98. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. I was wrapping myself in I was going around in circles there for a couple minutes. Here we go. And that's it. And that's a wrap from here at Cinema Wellman as we settled our minor differences with the New York Times. That's why we were wearing our Lady Liberty jersey. Born and raised in New York, but frankly, the New York Times was a little over my head, so I was more of a New York Daily News and New York Post guy, and that should not surprise anyone. As I mentioned earlier, this is an impossible task, and I thank the Times and their staff for tackling it in the first place. We hope you're with us next time for an episode that we are going to title Forever Amber, which we will explain. I promise. And until then, take care.